Sprint start and analysis video by Abraham Rono. Track and field is one of the most viewed sports around the world, which is evident with the Olympics as it has billions of viewers each year, each 4 years round. The shorter races are often used as a hallmark for describing the fastest man/woman. A sprint start is where the greatest change in velocity occurs as athletes accelerate as fast as possible by producing maximum force. World-class athletes, they're able to generate a third of their maximum velocity within 5 meters of takeoff, according to Bezoidis et al. In 2019. The center of mass peaks during the start, which is created by the push impulse. This impulse can be increased by either increasing more force generation or ground time, allowing for more force generation. The sprinter minimizes first flight durations and maximizes first stance duration, which allows them longer time for ground force generation. A very high amount of power is needed to create enough force for a world-class sprint, which can be trained for to a certain degree. Power, however, depends on the amount of motor units recruited, which is mostly genetic. Usain Bolt himself is able to generate the force equivalent to 5 times his body weight, which helps him hold the world record despite being 95 kilos and 6'5". McCullough et al.'s 2017 research paper showed that the center of mass should be as close as possible to the edge in the base of support, which is usually located right here. This will help as the sprinters leap forward when they start. As they also start, both hips and knees extend while the ankles initially undergo dorsiflexion and then plantar flexion until the block exit. So here, the sprinters elicit maximum angular velocity at the hip and the knees and the ankle joints as they extend and flex. Sanderman in 2021 quoted, "The order in which the joints of the front leg reach their peak angular velocities is similar to that seen in explosive tasks." For analysis, both qualitative and quantitative information is useful, being able to break down the critical features for a more accurate correction. During the set position, athletes must ensure the shoulders and arms are in a relaxed position, avoiding stiffness. The head, spine, and back should all be in line with each other. The front leg, as you can see here, should be between 90 and 100 degrees, and the back leg should be between 120 and 135 degrees. Neil Walton et al. Showed in 2018 that strong sprinters exhibit acute angles in their joints in the set position, allowing for more joint extension as they take off, which will naturally lead to more ground force production time. As athletes take off, the front knee, hip, and ankle extend, whilst the opposite leg flexes to a very high degree. Angular velocity principles dictate that movement is faster around an axis the closer the moment arm is to the center of mass where the rotation occurs. Athletes should also aim to be increasing their stride length and step with every new step. This high stride length, coupled with a very fast stride rate, is what maximizes fast sprint times. So for video analysis, a slow motion camera with a high frame rate is needed. A camera should be set up from the perpendicularly from the runner, ensuring there is a good amount of contrast between the athlete and the background. Markers can be very useful and should be placed on the shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, and other joints. These are placed on one side of the body facing the camera and ensuring that they are highly visible. Instruct the runners, to start as if they were, in a normal race. Once this is over, review the footage frame by frame, looking at the angles of the hips, ankles, and upper body, which tell a very large portion of the story. Before choosing the best video, ensure it has met all the above requirements. This video analysis can be done on apps such as Canovia, which are useful as they have many tools that are used in this case. A sprint, for my own personal video, I recorded it on an iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is capable of shooting footage in slow motion in 240 frames per second. This high frame rate will allow for a more accurate analysis. Blocks, however, were not used due to their unavailability, but they were not crucial, as the same biomechanical principles often refer to the start that I did as that in a block start. Okay, so once I finished recording the video, I went back on Canovia and reviewed the footage and picked one of the videos. Overall, what I can say is the performance was something that you would expect from a novice sprinter. There were some positives as well as some glaring mistakes. As you can see here, I mentioned previously that there were no blocks used. Instead, a 4-point start was used. This simulates identical starting positions, and the same biomechanical principles still apply to this type of start. Looking at the photo here, you can see from my position it differs from what a pro sprinter sits in. As you can see here on the right, very different angles. I looked very hunched with my back and shoulders looking very stiff. What I should have done is relax the body, which will allow the muscles to lengthen and contract faster than if they were previously contracted. This is noted by Guetta Davila et al. In 2016. The head should have been also in line with the spine and the shoulders here above the hips, they were only slightly. So overall, you can see here a very big difference in terms of the positioning. Feet positioning here, as you can see, was also very off. Very large difference here in between a pro sprinter, Trayvon Bromwell, and myself here. Having a very large space in between the legs meant that the back leg contributed very little towards force production in the first step. Pro sprinters here, they have a medium spacing, fixing this issue, allowing for more leg force production and a faster flexion time. One positive, however, was the angle of both legs. They were optimal. As mentioned previously, the lead leg should sit in between 90 to 100 degrees, which you can see here it is, and the back leg between 120 and 135 degrees, according to Joseph et al. 2007. Here you can see the pro sprinter is also in a very similar range, which is good. To start, both legs push forward off the blocks, or in my case, off the ground, and both contribute to force production. That is a misconception that is often had, that the lead leg is doing most of the work, but the rear leg is also doing a lot of work, as they almost jump off, not necessarily just take off one leg. Alright, in the very first step, the lead leg should be driven as fast and high as possible towards the trunk here, allowing for a very high degree of flexion before it touches the ground again and begins to extend. The first step of the rear leg extends it fully before driving the knees again up as far as possible, close to the trunk, and flexing it as high as we can. Sprinter here, Trayvon Bromwell, you can see here, he does this very well. Looking at my photo, you can see my lead leg reaches a much less degree of flexion compared to this athlete. To fix this, I should have been a lot more aggressive when it came to the start, driving the knees as fast as possible. Alright, in the next step here, you can also see there was a similar problem, as the leg does not fully extend or flex. Swazlink et al. And Delabrete et al. In 2013 showed that hip flexion and extension, abduction and adduction, and internal and external rotation during the very first phase will maximize the angular velocity. A pro athlete such as Trayvon Bromwell, as you can see, is able to take advantage of these principles, driving the knees as high and as fast as possible. Now, overall, I can say the performance showed some understanding of the biomechanical principles needed to produce a fast sprint start. There were some small changes, however, which could have been made, and this could have led to a much faster time. In the future, if we had more time, we could have perhaps looked at going back and fix some of these issues and compared the differences, but for another time, I guess. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and have a nice one. Bye bye. Just a couple references and more references. Thank you.